Hello and welcome to the Scots Sports Show. I'm Drew Patrick. Alongside me, as always, is Mr. George Tubby Schmidt. Tubby, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Drew.
Fantastic. We're going to start this Scots Sports Show the way we always start Scots Sports Show with the female and male Scot of the week. Let's start with the women.
Emma Sullivan of the ladies cross-country team was the top fighting Scot to cross the finish line at the NCAA Atlantic Regional. The senior finished in 9th place with a time of 23:26 to earn all region accolades for her third time in her career.
The male Scot of the week is Brian Gearher of the men's cross-country team. He placed the third-placed Fighting Scots at the NCAA Atlantic Regional on Saturday, earning all region honors, finishing 6th overall with a time of 32:56.9. Gear's performance, along with 4 other Edinboro runners earning all region accolades, helping earn the Fighting Scots a berth in the NCAA National Championships on Saturday, November 19th. Congratulations to Brian, your male Scot of the week. This show will roll right along as we will start today's show with wrestling. Don't go anywhere. You don't want to miss it. This is the Scots Sports Show.
My experience at Perico has been so great. I feel like it's really my time for school now. I tried going back to school when I first graduated from high school. I just wasn't ready.
It's closer to home. It's very much more affordable than the other colleges in the city. When I finished my degree here at Perico, it would provide me with higher pay. I can actually grow more in my company than I would if I wasn't going to school.
Perico College, affordable, career-ready education.
Welcome back to the Scots Sports Show. Let's talk wrestling here, as we're now joined for the first time this semester by Coach Tim Flynn. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So the season has already begun. We had our first match and then a tournament at Virginia Tech, both of those. Coming into the season, before we get into that actual matchup, coming into the season, there's still a lot of youth with this team. And last year, kind of a rebuilding year after a lot of seniors graduated. What do you see from this team?
You know, I think we have a lot of ability, and a lot of desire. Maybe we're short on experience right now, but I think we have what it takes to be a top 5 team. So hopefully that's in the future here soon.
Because basically at this point, Coach, every wrestler pretty much in the room has been wrestling for, double digits worth of years now, since grade school, high school, what have you. So they pretty much know the moves. It's just attitude and conditioning at this point.
It's a little of everything probably. They have to get, like I said, more experience. They have to get better in certain positions. They have to get a little bit more mature. So it's the whole package. But as you said, we have kids that have been there and done that in high school, and so they should be able to catch on pretty quickly here.
So far the moment doesn't seem too big for them?
I don't think so. We expect a lot out of them. I don't think being young is necessarily an excuse for not winning. Lots of people win when they're younger. So, we expect them to win, and, come Sunday against Pitt, we expect those young guys to go out and perform.
So that matchup, going back to that against Virginia Tech, we didn't come out on the end that we would have liked to, but what did you see from your group of wrestlers?
One positive was our guys go out right away and try to score points. I mean, we go out hard, and that's important because it's a limited time frame. It's 7 minutes, which can be 7 minutes of hell, but it's not a long time. So we went out and we got after it right away, and so I think that's a really good thing.
Yeah, and 2 of your wrestlers, they had really tough challenges against very good wrestlers that they'll probably see again. And Sean Russell and Pat Lugo saw some ranked wrestlers there that they probably are going to see again. So how do you feel that those 2 did in particular?
I think they did well. I mean, obviously, whenever you look back at an athletic event, you see things that that you can improve upon. And I think there's some things that both of them know they can do differently, to get the win next time.
And then the following day, not a lot of rest for most of them. They come back and you have 10 wrestlers get places in the big meet there.
Yeah, we went right to, it was like about 45 minutes away from Virginia Tech, the Southeast Open. And we got a lot of matches, and that's really what we wanted to do when we were down there. You know, get a big-time duel with, I think, Virginia Tech's ranked 4th, and then, you know, go on and try to get a lot of matches, something that we can, you know, build on.
Because this one was a little bit different. They had the open division, but then they also had a freshman, sophomore division as well. So you were able to get a lot of guys, a lot of work.
Yeah, you know, we made some decisions to keep some of the younger guys with, you know, more guys their age, you know, especially right out of the block, you know, Dakota Gear and Dylan Reynolds and some others, just trying to get them, you know, a little bit of seasoning, you know, before this weekend.
And speaking of this weekend, it's the home opener in front of this crowd. What is it like to, I mean, coach, but also for these wrestlers to wrestle in front of this home crowd here?
I think it's always neat to compete at home in any sport, football, wrestling, basketball, and hopefully, you know, it's an advantage. You know, you get to sleep in your own bed. It's, you know, familiar territory, and hopefully the crowd is big enough that it can make a difference.
I always love the way you guys come out. I think it's the best come out, walk off type music scene ever. The lights are low, the spotlight's on the center of the man of the Fighting Scots. Start out with Scotland the Brave into the punk song. I mean, it's just...
If you don't like bagpipes, you shouldn't be at Edinboro.
Yeah,
How's
don't
that?
come to Edinboro
That's
if you don't
true.
like bagpipes.
Yeah.
You know, it's just this matchup with Pitt. I mean, there's gonna be a huge crowd there. The Pitt fans, they don't have to drive that far to see this matchup. I expect a big crowd and a Pennsylvania duel, so to speak. What do you see from this Pitt team?
You know, I just saw the rankings. I think they're ranked in the top 25, and you know, we're not. So I see a team that hopefully can, you know, lead us, you know, up the ladder. But they have a lot of good young kids like we do. Like they have some younger kids, freshman, sophomore, that are in the lineup, and so it should be pretty interesting.
Which matchup do you think will be crucial in this?
You know, there's a lot of, you know, when there's only 10 matches, but, you know, certainly right out of the gate, I think that kid, Bentley beat Sean last year, and Lugo again has another kid that, you know, that got him over the summer, I think. So, you know, just to get off to a good start, I think those two guys have some kids that they're familiar with.
Yeah, that's what I heard too, is that Pitt's 33-pounder is pretty...
He's real solid. You know, I think he's ranked in the top 10, and, you know, the heavyweight's pretty good. So they're a pretty, you know, well-rounded team, not a lot of weaknesses. So we'll have to wrestle well to win.
With a young team like you do, who really steps up and who really becomes the leader of this group?
You know, we're waiting for that to happen a little bit. You know, we have a lot of kids that lead by example, certainly, that compete hard, that practice hard. Right now, we're looking for that person to step in there and take control. You know, so I think that'll happen over time.
Absolutely. Coach, thank you so much for coming on the Scott Sports Show here.
Yeah, thanks again.
And we wish you the best of luck come this weekend.
Thank you.
And that game, or that match, excuse me, is at 1 o'clock on Sunday. Definitely head out, support your Fighting Scots. It's our Division I sport. You want to go out there, you want to support. The Scott Sports Show will roll along right after this. Don't go anywhere.
We dig deep.
We overcome obstacles.
We come together.
We prepare.
We hit the ground running.
And we achieve our goals.
We train hard.
And we compete even harder.
We reach new heights.
We win.
And at Edinboro University, we create champions on and off the field.
Welcome back to the Scott Sports Show. We're now going to talk some Edinboro football here as we're joined by Linebackers coach Dr. Keith Lustig. Coach, thanks for joining us.
I'm glad to be here.
So, Coach, this season, now I want to ask, is it weird at all that your boss is your son?
It's definitely different. I don't know if I'd use the word weird or not. Several times I've found myself when I get introduced to different people, you know, it's just kind of a Freudian thing. Like real quick, it's like I don't know whether to say it's the head coach is my son or my father, you know, and because you know that role is typically a father role, you know, but it's my son, so that's kind of something that's happened a few times.
What is the unique things that comes with that territory, having a father-son on a coaching staff either way?
I think the good things are that we've had obviously a long relationship, and we know each other very well, and so there's really no hesitancy that I would have to go in to tell him anything that I want to tell him. The answer that I get might not be the answer that I'm looking for, but that's okay because he's my son. It's also okay because he's the head coach. But the fact that I don't really take it personally, you know, where if I wasn't related to him, you know, I might think that, gee, this guy's like barking at me. Well, he's barked at me for 38 years, you know, since he was born. So I'm used to it, you know, and that seems to create a pretty good chemistry between us.
Is there kind of a dynamic, coach, like where there's football and then there's home? Like I could just imagine like during the week and you're prepping for the game on Saturday and then everybody sits down for family dinner on Sunday. Mm-hmm. And like, is football kind of put on the shelf or is it just, or is there like a constant conversation sometimes?
Yeah, I think the closer it got to the season starting, the more football was always on the table, you know. Back in the spring, I know at Father's Day, we had a really nice Father's Day, and we really didn't talk much football at all. But the day afterwards, you know, we were in the office and we were back to football topics. And then once the season started, once camp started August 10th, it was pretty much, you know, by the time we would leave here at 10 at night on our 20-minute ride over to his house, it was usually football talk, you know, most of the time until you went to bed, you know.
Now, we talked a little bit before we actually came on to do the show. We were talking about the bagpiper and bringing the pipes in, not only into practice, but also traveling with the team and going to away. Can you speak a little bit to how that helps create the atmosphere for you guys on the team?
Yeah, one thing that I know Justin, I know his personality pretty well, and I know that he would want to use any tool that he could to help the team out, and whether that's bringing speakers in to summer camp or bringing speakers in on a Friday night before a game, or, you know, music in any way at practice, or by using the bagpipers. So naturally at Edinboro, being the Fighting Scots and having some great bagpipers here, and the fact that I had played the bagpipes for a while before we came to Edinboro, when I found out there was a bagpipe band, that was something that I thought could help the team out a lot. So I approached Pat Regan, and he was very helpful, and Mia Harvey is one of the pipers that helps us quite a bit, and that's worked out really well.
I love it. I think, you know, especially coming back from halftime when you have the bagpipes with the Braveheart drill, I think it's such a boost. What do you see coming out of the half every week and seeing that Braveheart drill or helping with that Braveheart drill? What does that add to the team?
Well, I think a lot of coaches discuss this, and Justin and I definitely do, and the other coaches. But there's only a certain amount of extra effort that you can get from any athlete through inspiring them with music or with a speech or with a locker room talk. And we always talk about how much that'll elevate an athlete, you know, and, you know, one athlete might be elevated only 2%, you know, their performance may only improve 2%. You get another person who hears the pipes playing, that might elevate their performance 25%. So it's usually not going to take, you know, the way I try to sell it is it's usually not going to take away from anybody if they hear some music or hear a really good speech by a person, you know, inspirational type speech. So I think the more that you go with that, you can only elevate a player's potential to play better, So.
And your group, the group that you help coach, they're doing such a great job, and they have a lot of senior leadership in that linebacker group. How does that help in coaching these guys? How does having a bunch of leaders help?
I think there's probably obvious ways, the younger guys just look up to them. Our leaders are the kind of guys that lead by example too, a lot more than they're not real verbal sometimes, and I kind of think that kind of leadership, leading by example, sometimes is a little stronger than some of the verbal leadership that you get. And with my son, Coach Lustig, he gives them enough verbal leadership. So I think the fact that they can lead by example helps quite a bit.
Now, we've seen in all the weeks before, like in the past 10 weeks now, like how animated your son, head coach Lustig, gets. Has he always been that type of guy to get that fired up? Or is this like a recent development since he took on the head coaching position?
It's not a recent development, no. And it's something that I have one other son, and we're all very similar, I think. And my wife and I, from the time they were young, tried to teach them just to be excited about whatever you're doing. And they carried that into sports, and they carried that into some of their academics, I think, and both did well academically. And but it's not anything new to Justin to get fired up, and it's not anything new in our family to be fired up at any time, or have someone approach you in a fired up manner, when you're not quite ready for it either at times.
We talked last week with Justin about the team and how it started out like because of the season last year going 0 for everything. And then we talked about like how at the beginning of the season, well, yeah, a couple of wins would be cool. And then now like going up to last week into Cal and now looking forward to Cheney and potentially a playoff run here. Mm-hmm. Like those couple of wins just isn't enough anymore. And the focus is really, did you kind of like see that coming going into the season, or are you just as surprised as us media guys?
We're pretty much, at least I am, pretty much surprised at it. But it's one of those things that, once it starts rolling, it's a week-to-week thing, and you're sort of surprised that you won the first game, and then all of a sudden you win the second game, and then you're surprised, and then the third game, and then you're surprised. And then by the time you win like your fourth game, it's sort of like now you're not surprised anymore. And I think that's one thing that Justin kind of taught the team, was to just every week to expect a victory, and that it's not a surprise to win, and that it's common to win, and we have to make winning a kind of a common thing. So, you win, you celebrate a little bit, and you get ready for the next game, and then you just win again, and just make winning a habit like that.
So I want to go back to that Cal game. Obviously didn't turn out the way we would have liked. So, and as Tubby and I usually say, the way that a lot of athletes face things, you don't lose, you learn. So, I mean, what can you take from this game against Cal and really help improve everyone?
Well, yesterday morning I spent about 3 hours breaking down the defensive side of the game. And things are never quite as bad as they seem, and once you look at it, we really didn't play that bad. There were a few penalties, a few missed opportunities, penalties that were called on us that we should have, been a little more careful, and if we wouldn't have had them called on us, it would have made a pretty big difference. And momentum means so much in a football game, especially a college football game like that. And we just happened to get 3 or 4 times when the momentum was starting to swing our way, and we either got hit with a penalty or a turnover. And I didn't look at the offense at all, but at least defensively, I really don't think we played, below our level in any way. And I wish we could play them again tomorrow,
And then this week coming up, it's senior day, and it's against Cheney. Especially coming off of a loss, what do you have to do to keep the spirits high it's senior day, it's a big game.
Well, like I mentioned before, we have a lot of leadership with our seniors, and some of it is verbal. I didn't mean to say that there isn't any verbal leadership, but just the way, seeing the guys yesterday and the way they're carrying themselves around, and it's like, they know they did the best they could against Cal, and they made a few mistakes, and they know that when mistakes happen, you're going to have problems. This week we have a opponent that might not be as challenging, but I think they're not going to look at it that way. They're going to look at it the same way they looked to Cal, and hopefully we'll get that one, and then somehow we'll make it into the playoffs.
All right, Coach, thanks so much for sitting down and talking with us.
Sure, it's great.
The Scots Sports Show will continue on right after this. Don't go anywhere.
NCAA Division II has much to cheer about, as nearly 100,000 student athletes compete with passion and pride. And I'm pleased to share the best news of all. Student athletes are outperforming the rest of the D2 student body in graduation rates. Just another reason why you'll hear us say with pride, I chose Division II. Learn more at d2sa.org.
Welcome back to the Scots Sports Show. Let's continue to talk football now, as we are joined by safety Brandon Anderson and left tackle Alex Molik. Thank you guys both for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
So let's start. I know we don't want to dwell on it, but this last weekend against Cal, I told Coach, and I don't know if you guys heard that we have a moniker here that, you don't lose, you learn. So really, what can you take away from this game to go forward? Let's start with you, Brandon.
I think this game made us better. I think we're going to come back and be more hungry than ever. It's a learning experience. Like, made a lot of mistakes in the game, and we won't make it again. We're a disciplined team. We don't get penalized as much as we did Saturday. We'll bounce back.
Alex?
Well, Coach Lustig said after the game, it's never going to happen again, and we got to take it like that. We can't let it happen again, and we just got to do our best to come out, correct things, forget about it, and look ahead to Cheney.
Yeah, there's a chance we might see this team again. I know you guys don't want to focus on playoff or anything yet. You want to focus on Cheney this week. So I won't ask the question, but I want to ask, coming into this season, with expectations really being low, what was it like to be the fly under the radar type of team?
It's fun. It's fun. It's really fun because we don't care what anybody else thinks. We only care about the guys in the locker room, honestly. And Coach Lustig has us believing, we believe we could beat anybody. If we were going against the New York Giants, we're going to give it everything we got, And I just think it's been fun, the whole ride, and it's not over yet, so I'm ready.
Do you agree?
Yeah, coming into the season, I guarantee, we got scheduled to, I think, 4 homecoming games, so people thought we were going to be an easy game, and I think we were 4 for 4, I'm pretty sure. So it's been fun.
I kind of, I wanted to mention about the Cal game, because we stated that before going into that, if you guys could keep it close, kind of grab them by the belt and keep it close going into the fourth quarter, that's where you guys live. Can you guys talk about, those fourth quarter moments and how you guys always find a way to come up clutch?
There's never a doubt in the locker room. Going into halftime, I think it was 21-7, and I could see it in the guys' eyes. We believed we were going to win that game. It didn't turn out that way, but we always believed we were going to win the game. Seton Hill, we were down going into the locker room. We always believe we're never going to give up. We're going to give it everything we got. So I think the fourth quarter heroics, it works for us sometimes,
Yeah, the fourth quarter, we practice every day. We call it crunch time, and we, like you saw against Slippery Rock, we do a 2-minute drill every Tuesday and Thursday. It showed up there, and even like goal line drills and stuff came up in Slippery Rock. We practice situations like that all the time, and when it comes down to it, we play our best football in the fourth quarter usually. So
this new coaching staff that came in, everyone has said they've added energy, but besides the energy that this new coaching staff brought in, what did they add to your game or the team as a whole?
Well, for the team as a whole, accountability. You come to meetings on time, you practice, you just do the small things right. And it's outside of football too, saying thank you, please, opening the door for people, just being better people before we're better football players. Then on the field, I think for me it's film, watching film with Coach Lustig and breaking it down. I could have an interception, but if I fall down, that's not a good play. He wants the most out of you, and I think it brings the best out of us.
Yeah, I mean, Brandon said it perfectly. I mean, they wanted accountability for all of us. They wanted us to. Football is. We're here for an education. We're here to be good people and get better ourselves. And football is with it. And we've been doing it ever since he's preached it, and done a really good job.
So you guys specifically, I'll go into each of you. Brandon, on the call, Tubby and I always say you're like a step away from a pick six every single time you're out there. You're everywhere on the field. So how important is it to be kind of that Energizer bunny, for lack of a better term there?
It's important to be energized, but my teammates keep me in check. They, the older guys, Austin Meats, Devon Groves, they keep me mild-headed. They keep me composed. And them guys, they do an awesome job for us. And it's not me. It's the scheme we run. It's the teammates around me, the leaders we have who put me in those positions. Trust me, it's not me. It's been a long process.
Because you guys get around he rolls his eyes every time I say it. But you guys get their team back against like their own 30 in that neighborhood. And I'm like, uh-oh, Drew, they're entering pick sixville. Every time. And then if you back them up even further and they get around the 5 or somewhere like that, I was like, uh-oh, Drew, now they're in safety town. And so it's kind of funny that we do that. But on the offensive side of the ball, we talked about, like, it took 45 seconds. 45 seconds. Like, I can barely do anything inside of 45 seconds. And you guys went like 80 yards and scored a touchdown. What's it like playing as a lineman? Because I know us big fellas.
That's the most important line.
Yeah, I mean, we're not the quickest people on the face of the earth, but as a big guy playing an offense that moves that fast, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. It can get tiring, obviously. I mean, we work all off season. We get conditioned, and Coach Limbach, when he first came in here, said tempo is number one thing we're going to focus on. And as you've probably seen all season, it really messes with other teams a lot. And you learn to love it, because when you're going and you see the defensive end in front of you tired and he's sucking wind and you're fine, you love it. And you start moving the ball more and more and more, and the quick touchdowns, that's great. I mean, the drives that last 15 plays can kind of really take a toll on you, but I love the offense. I think it's fun.
Especially being that left tackle, that most important tackle position, the blind side. How much pressure do you think is on you play by play?
I put all the pressure on myself. I mean, I know that, we have a mantra in an offensive line room, 5 strong. I mean, you got to have 5 offensive linemen doing their job every play to be successful, and I know that I have to do my part every play so I can tell my teammates, hey, I did my part and you guys did your part, and we came out successful.
So this week we have Cheney coming up. It's senior day. It'll be a big emotional day against a team that, may not, as Coach said, challenge as much as Cal did. But what do you expect to see from this team?
I expect them to play hard, and I expect us to play hard like any other game. Like, I'm not looking at it, whatever their record is. I'm just looking at the film and what I need to do and what the team needs to do to help us win a ball game. I'm not really looking at the name of the school or anything like that. It's just another football game for us.
We were in a similar position as them last year. And obviously they're not having a stellar season, but we knew how it was, and we came out those last 2 or 3 games last year. It's like, we got to win, and we came out firing on all cylinders, and we never got one, but we know that they're going to be amped up, ready to play. Going into a potential playoff team's own house, and wrecking their season could be a Super Bowl for them. So we're going to treat it like that, and we're going to play our best.
And what do you have to do? I mean, all season long, Coach has said we're 1-0 or 0-1 this week, but we're 0-0 come the next day. How much does that buy in, especially coming off kind of a demoralizing loss to a very good Cal team? But what do you have to do to get that energy back up and get ready to play?
It starts here. It starts today in practice. I think we're gonna come out 2-minute warning during that drill. I think it's gonna be a whole bunch of energy, and it just we win the games. We don't win on Saturdays. We win during the practice weeks. So we're 0-0. We don't. That's all we care about. We're 0-0. We're trying to get our first win of the season. So.
Yeah, I mean, when Coach Lustig first brought it up after the St. Joe's game, it's like we're 0-0 again. And you almost think about it like, no, we're 1-0, but I mean, you got to think like that. We are 0-0. We got to get that first win this week, because this week's important. And like Brandon said, first thing we got to do is this Tuesday or today and go into practice. We got to play hard. We got to be physical, and we got to get ready for Cheney.
All right, guys, thank you so much for coming on the Scots Sports Show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And the Scots Sports Show continues on right after this. Do not go anywhere. Welcome back to the Scots Sports Show. Let's switch gears and talk soccer here, as we have a playoff team, the first one of the fall sports season. Is you guys were the first team to clinch. You got that final spot. How does it feel?
I'll let Alex go first.
It is pretty exciting. I mean, it was kind of a bummer when we lost big time. But I think we're all really excited, especially as a senior. It's good to continue to play as much as I can into this next part of our season.
I'm excited for the kids. I think the seniors deserve it. They've done a lot of work that has got us here, and so we play as long as we can, right?
And, is that loss maybe a blessing in disguise? It gives you time to rest your legs, and I mean, with a team that has injuries throughout it and a smaller team, is it kind of a blessing?
Okay, you can go ahead.
Or would you like?
Yeah, kind of. Just like after some other games where we have a good long break, it is kind of good to take a few days off. I mean, we're still working out. We were still hoping we were going to get in, so we're keeping up our shape and such. But it was pretty good to have a little bit of time off, kind of reestablish ourselves, maybe catch up on homework and other extracurriculars. So it was pretty nice.
The season's been pretty challenging academically, and a lot of the kids are just stressed out about grades and class time and stuff like that. So yeah, it's actually a double benefit. We were able to heal up some. We were able to. Now, last time we got a break like this, we took 2 practice sessions to get back into game mode. So which was the negative part of it, because everybody was still on recovering time, right? So we hopefully today we'll get on top of it quick with practice and make sure it's a good spirited practice session, and then go from there.
The opponent,
Yeah, go ahead. Well,
the opponent's Charleston.
Yeah, and you guys now go to Kutztown. Kutztown is hosting, and you guys play Charleston, West Virginia.
Yeah, we played Charleston last year, and it was like a marathon game. It took 4.5 hours because it sleeted and snowed and whatever, lightning and thunder and whatever it was. So we ended up beating them on penalty kicks. It's nice to play somebody that's not in our conference. So it's kind of a clean sheet, kind of figuring stuff out during the game. On the flip side of that, it is Kutztown. It's a grass field. It's massive. It's bumpy. It's no better for Charleston than it is for us, because they play on turf too. I think getting through Kutztown, being that it's their home field and the way they play, will make it a bit more of a challenge for us to get through Kutztown. But one game at a time.
So you have to win. You have to win this one.
Right.
So you win, you stay.
Right.
You lose, we go home, and everybody preps for finals.
Mm-hmm.
I'm back here with you on Friday.
So, you know, with the playoffs coming up, and you mentioned a neutral field, that's not really an advantage for either team. To have that neutral atmosphere, does that add anything or take away anything from you guys?
Well, I wish we could say that like playing on grass wouldn't affect our play, but it does. I mean, but it will for both teams. So it's kind of, we're both at the same disadvantage, which is nice. And last year we played them on turf, and we were both at the same disadvantage of the weather being really horrible, which kind of takes into consideration more of our mental strength, I guess, because playing on grass just kind of slows the speed of play down a lot. But I think for us at this point might benefit a little bit. I think we do need to slow down for a second, but hopefully it'll be a good challenge for both teams.
Now, you talked about mental toughness. You guys have fought always being like the smaller squad against bigger schools just by the... So going into that game being mentally tough, that gives you guys probably a little bit of advantage over them.
You'd think so. A lot of the times that we've played, it is about mental strength, and I mean physical strength as well. Like a lot of us are we're a very small and like actually a small team as well. Like I'm still very short. I haven't really grown much since freshman year. I've probably gotten a little stronger. It is kind of difficult though to play bigger teams, but I think mental strength kind of trumps physical strength.
Tendencies are in the playoffs that people play less, the bench gets shorter and shorter. So that would be an advantage for us because our kids have played. The 13 kids we've been playing will play, and then other teams who have been playing 16 and 17 kids will probably play 15 and 14 kids. So there is, I think, an advantage if you look at it that way. The mental strength thing is something we've been talking about all year, and I think the kids have understood where we're at and understood what we need to do to win those tight games. And so I think with a bit of luck, we'll be able to take advantage of Charleston.
And finally, when you're sitting there together as a team watching the selection show and you hear them say Edinboro University, what goes through your brain?
Well, okay, I'll do this one.
Okay, yeah.
So we got online yesterday, and we prepped it earlier in the day, so we were ready. We knew how to get on, so we get on, and it's 5 to 6, and things happening at 6 o'clock, and there's a countdown going on, and it turns on, and it's Division I field hockey. And so then we clicked out of it, we clicked back into it, and it's Division I field hockey. And then we clicked out and clicked back in, and eventually one of the kids got on their phones and found the bracket and knew that we were in. So it was all like an anticlimax. Yeah. We were happy we got in, but unfortunately we didn't see it. Mm-hmm. We just saw the bracket. So it was kind of a... But then they did send out a link. They apologized. They sent out an email and a link on Twitter, I think, where they said, if you really want to watch the selection show, here you go. But it's like watching a game that you already know the score of, right? Yeah. Okay, so the score is going to be 2-0, so what the heck's the use of watching that game, right? So yeah, anyway, to make a long story short, it was anticlimactic in that aspect of it, but definitely always a good thing because we had some pizza. Yeah. Everybody's telling jokes.
Hey, everything is a bonding moment.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you both so much for coming on the Scots Sports Show, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hopefully we'll see you next week.
Absolutely. The Scots Sports Show, it continues on right after this. Don't go anywhere.
There's one thing you can never have sex without.
It's not something you buy.
Or something you take.
In fact, there's only one way to get it.
It has to be given to you, freely.
It's consent.
Because sex without it isn't sex.
It's rape. Consent.
If you don't get it, you don't get it. It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Welcome back to the Scots Sports Show. Let's continue this show and talk some volleyball as we're joined by head coach Missy Soboleski. Coach, this team still rolling pretty well, and this week is a very big week for them, and they get to be home for the majority of it.
Yeah, they're three matches left all at home. Really exciting week for us. We do realize how important each one of these matches are, But honestly, we're one team at a time, and we're just going, for Slippery Rock tonight. We're going to focus on that. And we've had some good practices. We have good morale going on our team. There's been some ups and downs, but right now I feel like we're hitting the point where the girls realize we've been here since August 14th for what reason, and we're getting to the end of where where all our hard work is trying to take us.
What has impressed you the most about your group of girls going through this year?
Their fight, their determination to stick to what we all said we wanted. And when we feel a little bit of wavering or a little bit of, then the girls bring it back in and they hold you accountable. They're holding themselves accountable for the goals that they set this year.
Now, is it just reassuring to know that coming, just before playoff time, to come home, have this big long homestand and kind of retouch with your base?
Yeah, it's everybody says you always play at home better, and then all the 3 matches we have are kind of crosstown rivals, so it's really nice to be home, be on our home court, no traveling, have our own fans in the stand. So we're hoping that we get big turnouts for our last few matches here. So, and then pushing into hopefully pushing to the fact that we host a first round of playoffs.
Yeah, and what would that mean for not only your team and yourself, but this university to be able to host the playoffs if we get to that point?
Yeah, it's always it's just nice to be home. It's nice to be able to earn the right to play at home, and that's the biggest thing. Is those girls, they want to earn it. They want to say, hey, Edinboro is earning the right to host that first match. So, and then whoever wins out of the first round, whoever the highest seed is left gets to host. And we have a possibility of being able to do that, but that's not put the cart before the horse.
Absolutely. I do want to talk about this weekend and Saturday, it being Military Appreciation Day for all of Edinboro sports. There's 3 home events, the football game, the volleyball game, and the basketball game, all that week. What are you doing for that event, if anything major?
Actually, Veterans Day is Friday, and we'd had some local veterans reach out to us for the Friday night match. So we're looking to do something with our ROTC on Friday, as well as some from the community of Erie. So
very important. I think, Coach, thank you so much for coming on here, talking with us all season long. We wish you the very best this week.
Thank you. We appreciate your guys' support, so thanks.
All right. The Scots Sports Show continues right after this. Welcome back. Let's continue to talk volleyball here as we are joined by members of the volleyball team, Megan Screptock and Latoya Hutchinson. Thank you both for coming on.
Thank you.
So this week is a very important week, as I said, very important. 3 home games that are all crucial at the end of the season here. What is it like to be able to just play in your home, on the home court, especially for these last 3 important games?
Well, we've been on the road a lot this season, especially the beginning of the season, and to finish out our regular season at home is really a good feeling because we're comfortable. We're playing in the gym we practice in, the gym we started in since August 14th, and we have our fans, and it's a great feeling to be able to show them what we've worked for all year.
You agree?
Yeah, that's great.
So, this week's first game is Slippery Rock. That's the night of filming tonight. So, what do you see from that team? What can they, or what do they bring to the table that you guys are going to have to react to?
Well, they're like a strong defensive team, and they have some girls that can hit at us. So we just have to not take them lightly and take every game as seriously as Gannon or anyone, and just come out and play our side, focus on what we're doing, and hope to win.
Yeah, these last few games, these are all like cross-town rivals. They're all like within 20, 30 miles or so. So does that add to the expectation of the games, knowing that like their fans are going to travel and you have your home crowd here?
I think so, since we are so close to them, especially Gannon and Mercyhurst, and we kind of, especially Gannon, we're close in competition with them, so it's going to be a neck-and-neck game, but we can't take any of these next few games lightly because everyone's going to battle to win.
Now, going back throughout the entire year as a whole, what is it like to work with each other, and how do you feel the group meshes with one another?
I think we started off a little rough. We went to Colorado, and the teams out there are really good, and we had some stuff in our team go a little bit wrong. So we started off rough, but going from then till now, we've picked it up. I think we meshed very well, and
I agree.
We played very well together, and yeah.
And after those 4 losses in Colorado, what did you learn from that group? Because then you guys just went on a tear through the next bunch of games. What did you learn from that whole experience that helped you throughout the rest of the season?
I think the teams out in Colorado, the teams on the West Coast, were a lot more tough than what we see around here. So I think those, even though we lost them, they prepared us well enough to come into the games the teams we play around here. When I came here and we started playing our matches against PSAC teams, the game was slowed down a lot, which really showed we hung with the teams in Colorado even though we did lose. So I think it prepared us well for the rest of the season.
So I want to give you both a little chance to brag about yourselves a little bit here. So I'll start with you, Megan. That you seem to be a very versatile player. I remember we covered one game that you were the libero for the first couple of sets there. How important is it to be a versatile player and be able to, do all the facets of volleyball?
I think it's very important to be able to play all 3 positions no matter what position you mainly are. I love passing, and I would play libero any day or outside, doesn't matter. I'd play anywhere. But I think you have to have just the basic fundamentals of each position down in order to win big games and be on a good team.
And Latoya, you have one of the strongest arms that I have seen. It's a quick release too. So is it kind of a strategy to be deceptively quick when you go up for those?
I honestly don't know. Probably it helps a lot, if you have a quick wrist and you just snap, because in the middle you don't really have time to get a full swing, so you really have to be smart and go to places, and the quick snap does help, but yeah.
I just, this year, what would it mean? I don't want you guys thinking ahead at all, but what would it mean to be able to have a home playoff game, or to be able to host some of the playoffs?
I think it would mean a lot to our team and to our school even, to work that hard to make it to playoffs and play on our own court. That just proved how hard we worked all season, and would be a great feeling to win at home.
And Coach told us that you girls, you love earning. You want to earn it. What do you approach every day as to try and earn it?
We have little goals that we try and stick by, games to 5 instead of 25 points all at once. We try and go 5, 10, 15, 20, and win those little games so that we win the big game. And just little things like that, we break it down so that we're not getting too far ahead of ourselves, and we're all staying calm and just focusing on what we have to do right in front of us, this point right now, and then the next one.
All right, well, thank you both so much for coming on the Scott Sports Show, and we wish you the very best this week.
Thank you.
And the Scott Sports Show, it carries on right after this. Don't go anywhere.
To compete for a championship in stadiums full with cheering fans and families. To give back. To say thank you for your support. To learn, grow, and prepare for the future. Ask any NCAA student athlete what they want, and this is what they'll tell you. Ask these student athletes, and they'll say with pride, I chose Division II.
And that's all we have for you this week for the Scott Sports Show. But before we go, let's take a look at what is upcoming this week in Edinboro athletics. And remember, this weekend, it's a big weekend. It's Military Appreciation Day. All day long on Saturday, we have the football game at Senior Day against Cheney, starting off your day at noon. Then we have volleyball against Gannon, which could be for who's hosting the playoffs if things go well, which is also Military Appreciation Day on Saturday. That starts at 4 in Macomb. And then the nightcap at 7. Your first look at the men's basketball team as they play Teal College. You don't want to miss any of those matches. All day long here on campus, get your sports fix. It's also Military Appreciation Day. Tubby, as a veteran, I want to say thank you for your service. And to you, how important is Veterans Day?
Veterans Day to me, it's pretty important. It's a time when I reach out to a lot of the guys that I served with, reconnect with them, let them know that I'm thinking of them and that they're still a part of my life, even though, I don't serve with them, I don't see them every day. But it's really a time, to honor those living vets. We take a time to reflect of the brothers and sisters we lost due to service, but that's in Memorial Day. So this one's more about the guys still wearing the uniform or the guys who wore the uniform.
Well, once again, Tubby, thank you so much for your service.
No problem.
And thank you all so much for tuning in and watching the Scots Sports Show. Again, if you want to stay up to date, you know where to go. GoFightingScots.com in Edinboro now. Thank you so much. Have a great one, Borough.